G'day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at the latest stage of Infinite Dragon Ball history, which is stage 21, which is against the sworn enemies from the future. So basically this is, Infinite Dragon Ball history is, I think, one of those interesting stages at various levels of difficulty. I think they make them as interesting as they can. Sometimes they're not so interesting, other times they're quite challenging. I remember when the Vegeta's Family one came out and it was like quite difficult off the beginning, whereas it got easier, and then vice versa, like the Goku one also started off easier, got a bit harder. So it was quite interesting how they changed things up. Sometimes the last boss is not always the hardest, or they're a bit glass cannony, or etc. It's always interesting how they kind of change these things up. Before we talk about the team, we'll just talk about the first phase. The first phase is against androids 17 and 18, and they're obviously immune to stunning, which is something important. And then we'll start to look at our team. So team-wise, I went for as much of a free-to-play friendly build as possible. So there are 2 missions for this event, and those missions are to complete the event with 3 Bond of Parent and Child category units, and to complete the event with 3 Future Saga category units. So it's a pretty straightforward event, pretty simple in I would say design. The mission challenges make sense, and Bond the Parent and Child and Future Saga both have pretty adequate units here, and pretty adequate free-to-play units here as well. You don't have to copy this exact build, but if you want to, it is obviously suggested to a certain point. So obviously to start with, we are taking the Trunks and Vegeta as a friend lead. Not only are they one of the best units in the game, but they also perfectly lead the categories that we need here, because they lead Future and they lead Bond of Parent and Child. So they are kind of like the best option just in general for this challenge. Before we talk about the rest of the team, that's obviously Cell. So Cell can regenerate a little bit of health. A lot of the bosses here actually have regeneration, so you are going to want to be a little bit careful of that, and make sure that you can keep up with the regeneration. You need to have some sources of healing, whether that's your units or whether that's through items, or in certain situations through active skills. Whatever situation you think is best, try and obviously prepare and roll with that. But if not, then just try your best to work around it through support memories, support items, and just in general, link skills can also work. It just depends on what you have. But Cell is immune to stunning, immune to sealing, immune to attack lowering, and that's pretty much all you need to know. I'm going to start off with the AGL Trunks, as I think he's a unit that's one I need to highlight. So AGL Trunks, the reason why we need to highlight him is you actually need to make sure that he gets the last hit at some point. Him getting the last hit on a unit by delivering the final blow will increase his attack and defense by 40%. This is pretty crucial because it's going to make him a lot better as a unit. So he has attack and defense of 40%, then gains an additional attack and defense of 40% when performing a super attack. He also has Ki +3 when facing only one enemy, has Ki +8 and attack and defense of 40% when facing 2 or more. Now he's not going to face 2 or more enemies at any point, so you need to make sure that he has the extra 40% from delivering the final blow, so that he can be a little bit better off. Now Trunks, I think, is still very usable. There's also not a lot of tech phases, so type wise he does fine. The AGL Goku Black stage is the same as the Cell phase, just minus the regeneration, so there's nothing too crazy that you need to focus on here. Then leading of our team is actually going to be done by the Dream Pact Future Kid, or sorry, Gohan Teen, Goten Kid, and Trunks Kid. And they are actually not too bad. They actually help us run this team as a predominantly free-to-play through their leader skill, 120% for hybrid Saiyans or joined forces. They also raise attack and defense for one turn, they cause decent damage, and they are a little bit weak to the final typings, which is something to obviously be aware of, but generally speaking they do quite well. Obviously they do lose a significant portion of their kit after the first 7 turns, but this isn't too much of an issue. We have built the team to somewhat help them, with a Goku, Vegeta, who can be in the same turn, obviously being joined forces, etc. So we have somewhat built the team to assist them, with the Goku and Chi-Chi unit, with the Vegeta and Bulma unit. We've kind of built these units that can sit in the same turn and kind of assist these guys. Beyond that, in terms of everything else, then the team gets a little bit wonkier, but still somewhat decent. Obviously with this many free-to-play options, you do have to always be a little bit kind of like aware of these things. So, for example, you need to know where your units are strong and where they are weak. In terms of the 4th phase, we're facing Goku Rose, who's immune to stunning, immune to attack lowering, immune to defense lowering, immune to sealing, and he'll also lower our attack with his super attack, which is somewhat important. So obviously built around that notion of needing Gokus and Vegeta, kind of drifting throughout the team. It's not that they need to be always in the rotation, but drifting around the team is pretty good. We have the Goku and Chi-Chi, so that's the matrimonial grand adventure. Goku and Chi-Chi, who are a pretty decent unit. They have attack and defense of 120%. They build up attack and defense up to 88%. They have a high chance of launching additional super attacks, and they support the Goku's family or joined forces categories, which helps out a lot in this team. We have a lot of joined forces category. The trio of young hybrid Saiyans, obviously the Trunks and Vegeta, the Bulma and the Vegeta, all these units all joined forces. But where they're really interesting is their active skill. Their ability to delay the enemy's turn is something we're going to use to try and secure the victory. And it's just a very good skill to have. Having that free Ghost Usher essentially is always something that's super duper valuable, I think. During these end phases, you are going to want to watch out for the hybrid Saiyan trio. They're okay for this 4th phase against Goku Rose, but they can drop off a little bit later on. So you're probably going to want to start using items at that point. I used items from the 6th phase just to secure victory and keep things floating along quite well. So that's that option. Then obviously alongside that, in the kind of reciprocating Vegeta's family version of the unit, we have the Vegeta and Bulma. So Vegeta and Bulma, to cut a long story short, they are a pretty decent unit. I don't think they're as good as Goku, but they are pretty decent. Attack and defense of 120%. They have an additional attack and defense of 60% when performing a super attack. They reduce damage received by 20%. And then they have Vegeta's family or joined forces category allies, Ki +2 and defense of 20%. Once you transform it into your battle armor, they get a little bit better. They have damage reduction of 22% with a medium chance of an additional damage reduction. So this is kind of the weird part. I think they should have just given them 44% outright, but hey, whatever. And then they give 22% to Vegeta's family and joined forces units. So they're pretty good. We're going to switch them in and out. They're very helpful during the end phases, as they basically act as a way to somewhat have a pseudo first slot tank during those end phases. Now obviously there are strength phases littered in between the 2 end phases, so we do have to be a little bit careful of them there, but they are generally okay during these strength phases. They don't do too badly. And we're obviously on the Zamasu phase right now. Zamasu is pretty much the same as Goku Rosé, but he can seal your super attack, which is quite frustrating. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that if you have any damage dealers, if you can afford it, rather make sure that they're not in the first slot to try and prevent the chance of them being sealed, and obviously that giving you some issues overall. So we've covered most of the free-to-play units that are associated with the team. The final one being the Strength Trunks. So this is a Trunks from Super Battle Road. He's okay. I think he's a pretty fun unit. He's more designed for a Vegeta's family team than anything else. He's not really designed specifically for other kinds of teams. He's a bit malleable as a unit as well. Attack and defense of 80%, ki +1, chance of evading the enemy's super attack, plus 15% per Vegeta's family category ally in the turn. He's got defense plus 60% and all allies ki +3 as the first attacker. Attack and defense of 30% and Vegeta's family category allies ki +3 as the second. And he has ki +3 and 60% attack as the third attacker. We're not really going to mainly be using him for anything. He is pretty much just there to fill up the mission requirements. You do have to be very careful of him in the final phase as well, just due to the fact that he, in that final phase can take quite a big chunk of damage. You do face an AGL unit in the final phase, so it is important to be aware of that. But yeah, pretty good stuff. This Zamasu is a little bit more irritating. So into Zamasu, this one, he's immune to stunning, he is immune to attack lowering, defense lowering, and sealing. He also recovers health, but he can also double super in a turn. So he can super twice, which is quite frustrating, I would say. He can do quite a fair chunk of damage as well. And he will also lower your attack and defense. So it is frustrating, but it's something you're going to have to deal with if you want to run the team. So yeah, that's it's probably one of the more irritating facets that I would say players have to deal with. Obviously, I would say it's not the worst position because we only really have one tech unit that's necessarily not the best. But yeah, generally speaking, we do have to be aware of that and obviously function around that. Now, the one really nice thing is that to round out the team, before we talk about the friend lead, we actually have the Future Gohan. So it's the one other summonable unit I'm using in the team. Physical Future Gohan is a very strong unit, and you can use other units instead of him if you want to. You don't have to use them. You could use something like an AGL, Future Gohan and Trunks is also a pretty good choice in Future Gohan. But you do want a relatively tanky unit. It's not necessarily the typing, just the tankiness. But he's really nice. He also meshes quite well with the LR. Shares a couple links with them. Dismal Future, Prepared for Battle, etc. But, the main thing is his building up of damage reduction. He goes from 30% up to a total of 58%. And the LR actually triggers his full passive. So the LR actually allows him to have his additional attack and defense and his medium chance of critting, which is pretty good stuff. If I can speak plainly, it's makes him really, really good. So yeah, physical Future Gohan, really, really solid. I do like him a lot, and I think for me, definitely could use a different unit, but if you have him, I do think he's ideal. Not only is he super helpful, he can tank the strength phases quite well, but during the end phases, he's a great source of damage, especially for our team, which is a little bit light on the DPS. So yeah, pretty much relatively solid stuff. I would say, pretty good team. Obviously, the final member of the team is indeed the Friend LR. Friend LR being the Super Saiyan Vegeta God and Super Saiyan Trunks. Now, Super Saiyan Vegeta and Super Saiyan Trunks are really quite an incredible unit. Obviously they have all that built-in crit, they have all that built-in guard. They also have that ability to build up their defense, to fire additional super attacks. But their active skill is also something you really want to be aware of. Their active skill massively raises attack, causes ultimate damage, raises your allies' defense, and causes a whole bunch of crits. So you want to save it pretty much till this last phase. This last phase is where we're going to be using a lot of our items. It's where we're going to be using a lot of our active skills. And so you kind of want to save it for this last phase so that you can get through him. He's AGL type, so he's effective against not a large member of our team, but he is pretty tough. He can hit quite hard, and he can stun and lower his defense with his super, which can obviously be quite frustrating for a lot of players, because it's going to mitigate your damage while also causing him to do more damage to you. Which is obviously something to be aware of. So anyway, he's immune to stunning, attack lowering, defense lowering, sealing, he recovers health, and obviously he stuns you, etc. But to cut a longer story short, we use the active skill. Active skill allows us to do a whole crap ton of damage, and we basically managed to kill Zamasu because of the active skill. And that's generally how it rolls. He doesn't heal too much. I think that's one thing I will say throughout the event. The units don't heal tremendously. It's not like they heal millions upon millions upon millions. So that is something quite nice, at least I would say. It makes it a little bit less infuriating. But definitely, I would say 100% something I would consider is the fact that teams are going to be healing quite a bit, and it's going to be quite frustrating for a lot of players. But we get pretty fortunate overall. I think we have, I would say, a pretty good time here with our team build. I think we have a really solid build with us. You do need to be careful at some points. Obviously, a super attack can really kind of lower your health. But we do have some useful techniques. We have the Bancho fan. We also have Vegeta and Trunks, who stack their defense and will enable us to heal at a certain point. But overall team did really well. So for me, honestly, was a pretty fun Infinite Dragon Ball history. One that I think you can do free to play fairly easily. Obviously if you want to. But that's pretty much going to be it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, you can leave a like, or you can leave a comment if you need help building your team. But from my side, that's basically it. So obviously, thanks guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. So until then, good luck, and I hope you guys manage to beat the IDBH, and you can get your hands on some pretty helpful stones for the summons or for future summons. But that's it from me. See you guys next time. Until then, bye.